Hello and welcome back to the series. Today we're going to solve the problems that we had yesterday and we're going to move on to the new topic. Let's first start with the problems. Alright, so this is the first problem. Sarah buys a smartphone for $800 on hire purchase. She pays 20% deposit and agrees to pay the balance over 10 months with no interest. And you're supposed to figure out what's her monthly installment. So the first thing we say is we're going to figure out the deposit. So deposit is equal to 20% of 800. And I just simply type that in my calculator and I will get the answer. So 20 times 800%, and I get 160. So $160 is the deposit. The balance is going to be as follows. So balance would be equal to the cost, which is $800, minus the deposit, which is 160, and you will get 640. Right, so 8 minus 1 is 7, 7 minus 60 is 640. And then what we need to get now is how much the installments are. So the installments are to be paid over 10 months. So we're going to take the total that we have to pay off, which is 640, and we're going to divide it by 10, which is how much we're going to end up paying per month. So we're paying amount of money per month, and that would be $64. All right. So that is the payment plan that she has. She has to pay $160 as a deposit and then $64 a month for 10 months, and she'll be able to own the phone outright. Let's go to the next question. All right, so this is number 2. Let's see if we can solve this. So a furniture store offers a sofa for $1,500 cash on hire purchase with a 10% deposit and an annual simple interest rate of 8% over 3 years. Okay, so let's first figure out the deposit. Deposit would be equivalent to 10% of your $1,500. So 10% of $1,500, and the answer is $150. So we have $150. Then from that we need to figure out the balance, which is going to be equal to your $1,500 minus your $150, and that would be equal to $1,350. All right, so $1,500 minus $100 is $1,400. $1,400 minus 50 is $1,350. Now we need to figure out the interest, and the interest is equal to your principal, which is your $1,350, times your 3 years times your rate of 8% divided by 100. Let's go to the calculator. 1350 times 8, you know what, let me do it like this. 1350 times 8 times 3 divided by 100. And we get 324. So this is $324. So the overall balance would be equivalent to your 1350 plus your 324. Sorry for the fish market in the back. Let's go ahead and continue. So this here would be 1674 as the overall balance. Now we just simply need to take that overall balance and figure out how much per month. So the installment would be equal to your 1674 divided by your installments. Now it's 3 years times 12 months per year. So we're taking the amount of money we have to pay and we're dividing it by the amount of months that we have to pay it for, and that will tell us the amount of money per month. So let's see what we get there. So 1674, let me do this another way. So 1674 divided by 3 times 12, and that would give me 46.5, which is $46.50. All right, so $46.50 is the monthly installments. Let's go to the next one. All right, so this is the third one that we have to do, and it says Michael takes a mortgage of $200,000 at an annual interest rate of 4%, compounded monthly, to be repaid in 20 years. What is his monthly payment? Okay, so first thing we need to figure out is how much overall he needs to pay at the end of this 20 years. All right, so let's say, for instance, that the amount, well, the principal would be equal to the $200,000. The rate would be equal to 4%, and the time would be equal to 20 years. Now, that rate is for monthly, so let's figure out first how much it's going to be at the end of 20 years worth of months, so that we know 12 months in a year, so 20 by 12 would give us a value of 240 months. Right? So the interval is 240 months. So let's see what amount overall he has to pay. So the amount overall that he has to pay is 200,000 into 1 plus 4 over 100, and then we have 240 months, and the amount that he has to pay is 1 plus 4 over 100 then close the bracket, and we have 240. Oopsie, error. Well, I expect that we get an error here too as well, because that's really high, raised to the power of 240. Right? Okay, so he would have to pay in the billions. So this is definitely not Trinidad. It's 2,449,240,473. That's a lot of money. All right. Um, let's write that out. So again, the value is a very large amount. It's 2,449,240,473 that he has to pay back overall in that 240 months. Let's figure out what his monthly payments are going to be. So the installment would be equal to that 2,449,240,473. I think that's the answer there. 2,442,404,73, right? And then we divide it by 240. All right, let's go back to the calculator. So we divide this answer by 240, and we see we get 10 million. That's his monthly installment. All right, so his monthly installment will be 10,205,168.64. That is definitely not something that you can get. That is definitely not some kind of figures that you would end up having to pay. That is I would have to assume that that is not Trinidad currency. All right, that is definitely not Trinidad currency, because no way you can be earning that amount, and no way you're going to take a loan for 200,000 if it is that you have to pay that amount. Anyway, so even though the values are unrealistic, that's how you would have to solve this problem. You'd have to first find out how much total he has to pay on that 200,000, how much compounded interest he has on that 200,000, with the 4% and a monthly 4% for 20 years. A monthly 4% for 20 years is a lot, apparently. So this here was the answer that you got at the end of it, and this here was the installment, and this here is the value that you would have to pay. Again, very unrealistic value. Let's go about doing what we have to do today. So today what we're supposed to do is appreciation and depreciation. The objective is as follows. Right, so this is the objective. We are required to solve problems involving appreciation and depreciation. What I'm going to do, however, is I am going to define for you what appreciation is, give you an example. I'm going to define for you what depreciation is, give you an example, and that would be the end of today's lecture. All right, let's first start off by giving a definition of appreciation. So appreciation is when the value of an asset increases over time. And this usually happens with things like real estate and stocks and things like collectibles. All right, let me write that definition down and along with an example. All right, so that's your note, and this is your example. So if you buy a piece of land for 10,000, after 5 years, the land is worth 15,000. The value of the land has appreciated by $5,000. Now, there are two things that you would be required to do when it is that you're working on an appreciation problem. You would be required to find the appreciation amount, and you would be required to find the appreciation percentage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you those formulas, and I'm going to work the problem at the same time. So the first one is the appreciation amount, and I'm going to write in orange. So appreciation amount. The appreciation amount would be equal to the new value minus the original value. All right, so then that means that in this problem, we'll have 15,000 minus 10,000. And that is how we get our $5,000 worth of appreciation. The next thing that we can work on is the percentage appreciation. So percentage appreciation. The percentage appreciation is the appreciation amount divided by the original value. Times that by 100%. And the answer we would get is as follows. We get the $5,000 appreciation that we just had divided by the original value of 10,000 and then multiply by 100%. Now again, I can use my calculator. I can just simply take the 5,000 divided by the 10,000 and write percentage symbol, and I'll get an answer. For this, you would see that it's appreciated by 50%. Let's see if we get that. So we have 5,000 over, 5,000 divided by 10,000, and then we look at the percent symbol and we get 50%. So 50%. All right. Right. So that's appreciation. This means that the land appreciated by 50%, right? So hence the land has appreciated by 50%. Now let's look at depreciation. Now again, similar to appreciation, it has to do with assets. So this is when the value of an asset would decrease over time. And this usually happens with things like electronics or machinery. After all, as technology improves, these electronics and these machinery tend to depreciate in value because they're not as modern or more well equipped to do the job that they were capable of doing a few years ago. All right. So for example, you'd want to update things like maybe your washing machines. You would want to update to the ones that are automatic from the ones that weren't automatic. All right. That's just one example. Let me write that note for you and give you an example. All right, so there's your note, and this is the new example. Let's see what this example says. If a car is bought at 20,000, after 3 years, the car is worth 12,000. The value of the car is depreciated by 8,000. Now, again, what you'd be required to learn in something like this is you'd be required to show things like the depreciation amount, and you'd be required to show things like the percentage depreciation. Now, again, it's the same formulas. It's just that you have to interpret the negative sign. So depreciation amount would be equal to the original value minus the new value. All right, and that would be, in this case, your 20,000 minus your 12,000, and that is how you get your 8,000. Now, your percentage depreciation follows the same principles. So the percentage depreciation would be equivalent to the depreciation amount divided by the original value times 100%. And that is how we get 8,000 divided by 12,000. Sorry, not 12, 20. And then we times 100%. Working that out on a calculator, we can get the percentage. Let's do that. The answer was 40%. This means all right, and that's the end of that topic. Now, if you notice, it's just a matter of applying percentages and giving new names to the things that you already know how to do. How to write a value as a percentage of another. How to work out the difference in prices. All right, these things are things that you already know how to do. We'll move on to the next topic tomorrow, and if you have any questions, comment, issues, please leave a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right, see you tomorrow.